Hey, it's another week, another recipe, and today we are making a 1940s version of a very traditional tea bread from Wales. This is so good, I highly recommend making it after you finish this video. Hey everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. My name's Courtney Morris, and I cook history's forgotten recipes out of random cookbooks I find, and sometimes websites, and in this case, a submission from one of you. And I am so excited about this. So, if you're new here, I'm glad you are. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy this recipe, and if you are coming back for more, thank you for coming back, and I hope you enjoy this as well. All right, so last week we did a Welsh recipe, and this week we're doing another one because I have had such good results with these Welsh recipes that I kind of want to stay in Wales for a while. So we're doing a Bara Brith, and pardon my American English accent, I don't know Welsh, so I'm not entirely sure how that's supposed to be pronounced, but bear with me. Anyways, it apparently is so traditional that nobody wrote it down until the 1940s, because I cannot find a handwritten recipe, I can't find a recipe book with it in there. I mean, I'm sure they exist, but apparently not to my access. So, I found one off the 1940's experiment.com website. I decided to give theirs a shot and see how this goes because this one's completely new to me. And the one thing that's weird to me that I don't know why, and I couldn't really find out the history of why, is you soak dried fruit in tea before. It's like almost like a rum raisin cake. I've had some versions where you soak your raisins, where it just soaks up all the rum, and that's where your rum flavor comes from, aside from, you know, pouring it on and lighting it on fire. That was a whole nother recipe. Anyways, so this recipe is done in 2 parts over 2 days. And the first part is to make a ½ pint of tea and soak my dried fruit in it. Now it does say that you can substitute out 1/3 cup of that dried fruit to save it wartime style and do carrot instead, which I think I'm gonna do just because why not? All right, using my very technical glass jar measuring thing here. So we are going to pour in a ½ pint. Now this is a UK recipe, which means that a ½ pint is not the same thing as a ½ pint here. The British pint is about 20 US ounces, so I need about 10 US ounces to make it the correct measurement, which is a little over a cup for us. It's just slightly different. I kind of wish the whole world would just switch to one or the other, because when you're going to these recipes, especially back and forth over the centuries, it's like, you gotta know math, or at least know how to use Google to use math. And I've got my Tetley black tea. It does not say any other tea. I've never made it. I'm just gonna stick with the regular British black. I'm gonna let that stew for a bit. I don't know how strong it's supposed to be. It doesn't say, it just says make tea. So I'm just gonna make some tea. And while I'm waiting for that, we will get our dried fruit together. So I need 1 pound. Huh. So it's gonna be a lot of fruit. I swear, these fruit and bread recipes are coming up like if somebody's trying to tell me that I better start learning to like this stuff. I'm just gonna call that good at 10 ounces of raisin and the rest carrots. This is very reminiscent of last week's video of the Welsh cakes of raisin or dried fruit and carrot. I'm gonna guess that that's because that's what they had. So I'm just gonna stick that in there, and then, so in last week's video, I shredded the carrot very, very small because they were thin Welsh cakes, and I thought that a finer grating of carrot would just make it a little more, I don't know, not as chunky. But since this is a bread baked in a bread tin loaf, I'm gonna make it a little bigger just because I feel like it could hold it together better. Okay, so now I have to put this together and let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. So I'm gonna shove everything in my mason jar because I honestly don't have room for this bowl. There's a lot of meat in my refrigerator that I need to process, and it's taking up a lot of space. So we're just gonna make something that looks kind of nasty. This is definitely not something I ever saw myself doing or honestly thought of. And hopefully they will be bloated with tea by the time I get done with it. The next time you see me in about 5 seconds is tomorrow. Stand by. All right, so it is the next day, and the second half of this recipe is what we're gonna be working on first, and then we're gonna add our little fruit concoction. I'm not sure what to call it in a bit. So I didn't really learn my lesson too well. I sort of did, but not really too well. For my apple fritter video, where I missed reading the whole instructions and totally missed a huge part of it before I got to it. And then that was kind of a surprise. And I kind of did that with this. I got everything out yesterday and then had to put everything back because I didn't seem to pick up that we only needed carrots, tea, and raisins yesterday. So we're back. Let's do this. So I need a pound of flour and then 5 teaspoons of baking powder. The original recipe does say you can use self-rising flour because I know that was definitely a thing come wartime, but you can do either or as long as it raises. Then 6 ounces of brown sugar. So this is kind of telling me already that there's brown sugar in this and there's mixed spice in here, which is the British equivalent from what I found out of like pumpkin pie seasoning, which if that's the case, this is gonna be really good. This mixture feels really nice. Okay. Leave it to me to make this. Okay, now 2 teaspoons mixed spice. Now, I don't have pumpkin pie seasoning, but I have the equivalents thereof. I have kind of a pumpkin pie mix that I kind of made, plus a little extra cinnamon. Okay, and then a tablespoon of honey, and then a tablespoon of orange juice. It does call for a tablespoon of orange zest, but all my children have eaten my oranges, so we won't be doing orange zest today. All right, I'm gonna give this a good mix around. Now it's time to put the thing that's been brewing in my fridge for 24 hours. This has been stewing and the raisins are definitely bloated. There's more liquid to it because I think it just cooked the carrots and the raisins, and that is a peculiar smell. Let's put it in. I am really curious as to the flavor of this, with the tea being the main source of the liquid. Do you guys know the history behind this of why tea? Why not water? Why not milk? I mean, I'm not complaining right now because it's smelling dang good. This is getting very thick and kind of hard to, this is hurting right here. And you know what's funny is it almost makes it smell like whole wheat muffins. Okay, well, now that my arm is dead, like really it does burn right there. I need to get that, oh. And of course I choose to wear black in the videos where I use a lot of white flour. I'm smart. Okay, so then once we've got that all together, we add an egg. It does say powdered egg for World War II rationing, but I am going to pretend I'm using my egg because, by golly, I've got too many eggs in this house. We have a lot of we have too many chickens. Let's put it that way. We have too many chickens. I'm working on getting rid of some because it's just pretty ridiculous. It is now looking like muffin batter. Now the original recipe said you could use 2 small loaf tins or 1 big one, and actually I think it was the peanut butter bread recipe that I did that I was wondering why it turned out so flat and wide, was because way back when these pans were smaller. Go figure, especially in Europe. So I just picked my smallest one that I got and I'm gonna hope for the best, but I think I've got enough batter in here to fill this up. Now it didn't say to grease the sides at all, and it doesn't have any, it doesn't have oil, it doesn't have any butter, there's no fat in this, so cross my fingers it's not dry. Maybe that's what the tea does. I don't know. But I am going to use my parchment paper because I have a little bit of PTSD from everything sticking in loaf tins. So the reason it looks brown is because you can use these up to 3 times, and that's on its 3rd today. So let's get it poured in. I have really high hopes for this. I think I say this about every video I do because I get excited about it, especially the ones where it has good stuff like spices and sugar and whatnot, but I actually do have high hopes for this. I think maybe it's because I've just had so much good success so far with the Welsh recipes. So it said to heat the oven to 320 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a weird temperature for Americans. That's an odd in-between number. But it is the equivalent, I think, of 180 degrees Celsius, which I think is pretty common over in the UK. So I'm just gonna follow the recipe. Let's stick it in and I'll see you in an hour or so. Okay, this is done and it is cooled. It said to glaze with honey and water, which I'm kind of glad it did because it makes it look so shiny and pretty and quite sticky. So I can't wait. We're just gonna go into it. My kitchen smells like Christmas. It's nice and soft. Oh, I hope this is good. Ooh, it's still warm. All right, so it is peppered with raisins and carrots. It smells almost identical to the carrot raisin muffins my mom used to make as a kid. Just very much more sticky. Oh man, oh man. All right, you guys are making me fruit and bread lover out of me yet. It's so, oh my gosh. And it's warm. I bet you butter would make this even better. Just a second. I don't have any of my good butter left, but I do have some butter nonetheless. All right. This is hands down going in my cookbook. This is phenomenal. Here's one thing that I didn't think of. This 1940s recipe with rationing stuff. I mean, this is probably one of the best things you could have made. For a 1940s wartime version of this, also with no butter or oil in it, it is fluffy, it is moist, it cooked all the way through. It took an hour. I am not gonna stop eating this. This is so good. I am so thrilled with this, and I am thrilled that this came from one of you. Thank you so much, Scott's Diesel. This is amazing. This is so good. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for being with me. I hope you stayed till this far to find out how good this was. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the little bell notification. That will let you know that I upload every Monday with a new historical experiment of a recipe, and my goodness, so far we are on a roll of good stuff. As always, please send me a recipe in the comments if you'd like, or if you have something that you are too scared to try that sounds a little odd, I will try it for you. Let me know. Otherwise, just drop by and say hi in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And would like another fantastic Welsh recipe, click here because this one was so good too. Everybody says they want to move to Italy for the food or France for the food, and so far I'm kind of liking Wales, so check it out. All right, I will see you next Monday. Bye.